Hello, welcome to another episode of Beer Man's Noble Beer Reviews. Today I have another beer from Bell's Brewing Company out of Comstock, Michigan. This is part of their Leaves of Grass series. This is number 7, which is out of 7, so this is the last one. It's called Spontaneous Me. It says, the 7th final release celebrating a literary classic and one of our favorites, Leaves of Grass by Walt Whitman, inspired directly by nature. This wild American ale is fermented with wild yeast harvested from Bell's Beer Garden to evoke tart, earthy, and funky tasting notes. 6.5 ABV. So I've had a couple wild ales from Bell's, and they've all been very good, which makes me wish that they did more... or any, like, this is the first one they've done, I think, that actually got distribution. All the other ones have been, like, sold at the general store, just at the brewery. It also says wild yeast harvested from Bell's Beer Garden, so I don't know if they caught the yeast and then they're pitching it, or if it literally is, like, a spontaneous fermentation. I'm guessing the former, but I'm not sure. And it's 6.5 ABV, so I think this bottle was like $3. So if this is a good American wild ale, I'm gonna buy a bunch of it at that price. I would have bought it either way because I think Bell's is a very good brewery. They're one of the original classic ones, and even when they make something that's more of a hype style or something that a lot of breweries charge more money for, they still keep the price relatively low. So that's why I like them so much. And when everything's like $5 or less for a bottle, why wouldn't you try it? So you can see it pours a cloudy golden color with a nice fluffy white head. So that does not smell like what I was expecting it to smell like. In all honesty, it smells like a Goza. I don't really get any funky Brett character. I guess there is a little bit of like leathery note, which you get in some wild ales, but it's something like grain and lemon juice. But I'm really not getting I don't know. It seems like a kettle sour, to be honest, in the aroma. We'll see what the taste is like. Interesting. So, the flavor, I'm trying to think of a good way to describe this. The flavor tastes like if you were trying to develop your own mixed culture at home and you were getting like some bugs, but it wasn't like to that level where you're, making real American, like really good American wild ales, but also it's not like super acetic, like strong lacto, like battery acid upland beer either. This is kind of in that realm because it has a little bit of acidity. There's a little bit of like traditional saison-y, and I don't mean mixed culture saison, I mean like traditional saison-y, like estery character. But then there is something that's in the background that is like lightly funky. Like, I would say if I had been drinking for a while and I grabbed this, I would be like, oh, this just tastes like a Goza kettle sour. But since I have a pretty fresh palate, I do pick up like there is a little bit of funk on the back end that makes me think that there's something more to this other than a kettle sour. But it's also not much beyond that, which is pretty disappointing, to be honest. But given that this was part of this simple series that cost $3 a bottle, um, I understand it. I just thought I was gonna find like some crazy deal, diamond in the rough beer, and that's really not what this is. This kind of falls into what you would expect for a $3 American Wild Ale. Um, there's certainly nothing wrong with it, but the other thing that's disappointing is like it doesn't even seem like there's any Brett in this. It just seems like a lactic fermentation. I mean, maybe there is some Brett because I do get a little bit of funk, but if it had if it had that acidity and then there was a little bit more of Brett funk to it, then I think I would really appreciate it. And Brett isn't that expensive. You don't have to. You can make a really nice Brett beer without aging it in wine barrels or doing anything of that. That where it's really not any more expensive than making a regular Saccharomyces fermented beer. Especially when a lot of American wild ales, like the basic ingredients, are really cheap because you're using like hardly any hops at all. And usually the grain bill's not that big because they're not high in alcohol either. So, when you strip those two things away, it's really not that expensive to make. Uh, so, all I'm saying is I feel like they could have had more Brett character in this and added a little, there could have been a little bit more funk and still kept it relatively inexpensive. And the other thing that makes me even more disappointed by it is on the same token, today I drank the special 35th anniversary version of Expedition, and that beer was so good. It renewed some of my faith that I felt like I had lost from the last couple of Bells releases, and then this is kind of tipping it back against that. So I won't say that like it was a ripoff for what it cost because it was really cheap, but I feel like the description is kind of misleading because it's for the way it's described. I expected more out of this, so it is kind of disappointing. Um, on my scale of buy, drink, dump, I'm just gonna give this a drink. I'll gladly drink the rest of this. It's still a decent beer, but there's definitely nothing special about it. This is no different than other things I can get locally for roughly the same price. So I really don't have much of a reason to want to buy this again. Which again is a shame because, like I mentioned before, I have had some of their like real American wild ales. I'm trying to think. They did. I think it's just called the Wild One and Le Breteur and a couple of those ones, and they're absolutely fantastic. And I would like to just see them do some more of those into distribution. That would be great, but it just doesn't seem to happen. Um, but anyways, I think that's all I got on this one. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think, and I look forward to doing the next one. Thanks.